Okay, so yesterday we ended here. We didn't really start any of the searches and sorts yet. We're just setting up for it. And there's one other thing we need.
Attention staff, just a heads up, the power tool is up here in the office, and so is first class. Thanks.
Okay, so one more thing we need is because we're doing a search, we need the location when we search for something. So grade 12s, I want you to add one more variable up to the top here. So we have the item we're looking for, the location we'll find it at, and the array we're going to search through. So we forgot that variable, the location, okay? Because that's going to be something we're going to be figuring out whether or not we found it or not, right? So, okay, that's interesting, but I don't know. Okay, so now we're going to perform the search. But before we do, we should output what our array looks like, right? And we talked about that yesterday, how you can't just do that real simple with the system.out. So once again, I'm going to build a class to do this, just to encourage you guys to do that. I'm just going to make a class called display. So to display stuff, dot, and I'll make a method within that class called, what? Someone's trying to skip this version. Inside that class, I'm going to make a method called just show. I'm going to keep it simple. Display.show, okay, and I will display the array. Now normally, like I said yesterday, you can't just send a whole array to system.out. So I'm going to build this into a class just so it makes it easy down the line. So let's build this class, create class display. So it should make you a class called display. Very simple. And then you can jump back. Wow, computers are really slow today. There we go. And then jump back to your main class. And then you can also use the light bulb to create the method called show. Okay, so the show method inside our display class will show off a whole array. Okay? So this is very simple. We'll just loop through the array. So array.length. Oh, lots of spinning circles today. Lots and lots of spinning circles today. Whoa, that's an interesting look there. Okay, so now we're looping through the entire array. We're going to output the stuff. Now, we could output the array line by line, but that's going to take up tons of space. So I'm going to back up here and start by making a string called output equal to, and I'll just put array equals. I'll even put a little bracket thing there. And then I'll say outputs plus equals. Remember, that means output equals output plus what's in the array at spot I plus a comma. Okay? And then afterwards, I'll output output. And at the very end, I should probably put that closing bracket so that'll look nice. But one weird thing about this, just to show you what will happen here, is it'll loop through the array. So say an array of 4 things like this. 0, 1, 2, 3. It'll loop through the whole array and it'll say, like say I had 4, 5, 6, 7. It would go 4, 5, 6, 7, comma. Which is weird because there shouldn't be a comma after the very last number. So let's just make a little tweak to this code to make it output a little bit prettier. Make it go to array length -1. And then after the for loop, then go output plus equals array spot. Now here I actually need the very last spot in the array. So to get that, I go array.length minus 1 here. Plus that closing bracket. And a new line character. We'll just put a new line there. Actually, no, we won't because we're going to do system. We don't need to put a new line because we're doing print line. So this should spit out our array in a nice format. So I went quickly through that code, but I just want to play it just to show you what it looks like real quick. Because we're filling that array with random numbers. It'll be nice to see how it looks when I output it. So, come on. There we go. So you see how nice that is? It makes it look like an actual array with the little brackets on each side. So that'll be a nice way to quickly output an array as we do these searches and sorts. Okay? And again, this might be something useful for your debugging if you're writing code and you're just doing displays. You can just quickly display what an array looks like just so you can see it inside your code. So again, I'm sort of encouraging just building little classes that can be useful in the future as you work through this. Okay. Now, if we go back here. Sorry, was I too quick? Anyone still need that code, the display code? So watch those little quirks like the -1s that are occurring in those couple places. Jumping back here, we show the array. What we're now going to do is we're going to make a class called search tools dot, and we're going to write our first search, which is the linear search. And we're going to search for our item, comma, in our array, and it will return something. So on this side, we will put our location equals this. So in theory, what's going to happen is it's going to go to this class. It's going to run a method called linear search for this item in this array, and it'll send back a location. Okay? So now we got to build the class, and we can use the light bulb to do that, called search tools. So it should automatically build that class for you, and then jump back to main, and go ahead and use the light bulb to automatically build the method called linear search. So that's just a handy way to just have NetBeans write some of the code for you. Okay? And I'm going to put the keyword or the modifier word public at the front of the class and the front of the method. Okay, so now I'm in search tools. So I'm in this class called search tools, and I'm about to execute the algorithm for a linear search. This is by far the simplest algorithm. How do I search an array for an item? Well, it's real simple. I loop through the array. Yeah. Okay, so I'm just going to use the loop. For I equals 0, well, I is less than array.length. Oh, man. Okay. If, so inside the loop, if the array at spot I equals my item, well, then I found it. So I return right here, and what I'm returning is the spot. So I'll return I. That's the spot. That's the spot I found it at. However, I've got one other thing to do. It is possible that I will loop through this entire array, and this will never become true. I will never find the item. So if it makes it through this whole loop without ever returning, just at the bottom of the code, right before the method ends, I'll return -1. -1 will tell me that I didn't find it. Okay? This is the simplest algorithm, and I know it's not that complicated, and you've probably maybe even written something like this before. The linear search is as simple as it gets. You start at the beginning, and you start looking through each item. If you find it, stop and return right there. Now, remember, if you return while you're inside of a for loop, it breaks the for loop. So by putting the return line there, it would finish that method at this point. So that is the simplest algorithm for doing a search. The linear search for an item in an array. So I just missed the screen recorder there for a second. So at this point, just to finish up for today, we have this class called display, and we wrote a method called show results of the item in the location. So this will show the results of the search, and the method we wrote inside the display class that says show results basically says if the location equals -1, or sorry, pardon me, if it's not equal to -1, we will output item was found at location. However, if it does return a -1, then we will output item was not found. Okay, so this will show the results of the search, and let's run it once just to test it. And here you can say that it says -8 was not found. So the value -8 should not appear anywhere within this array. And if you scan it over, you'll see that that's true, that -8 does not appear in the array. But if I run it again, and again, and I'll have to run it a few times until I get one that I don't want to use that one. Here we go. So now with this one, it says -14 was found at location 14. How ironic. So let's see if that worked. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. And there it is. Found the 14 at location 14. So the search was successful. Okay, and we'll pick up more on this tomorrow.